Michael Bay puts the bunny back in the box with the help of Nicolas Cage and James Bond. Dr. No substitutes, destroys the city of San Francisco in order to tell his daughter he did not just leave her for a pack of Newports and a carton of milk. Colonial Marine Hicks has his very last fun shower party of his life. So strap in, you fucking jailbirds.
Welcome to the Rock.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben, joined by Scotty R37. It's the 30th anniversary of The Rock.
I think that this is the heyday of 90s action movies, possibly the pinnacle of it. I know it is Michael Bay's favorite of his films, but this, Armageddon, Face Off, Con Air, like anything that was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, it is an incredible era for just 90s fromage and star-studded cast. In fact, the cast on this is absolutely stellar. I can't believe there are people who show up for 3 lines and then they're gone, and it's just like, oh my stars, literally. Obviously, not the least of which is Sean Connery. You got Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, but then you get people like Bokeem Woodbine and Michael Biehn. And so, like, everybody is showing up in this movie. It's funny, and I can't believe the production disaster that it was, just in terms of rewriting the script, improving, and battles with producers and financiers to try and shoot the Alcatraz movie in Los Angeles. I think that this is a frenetic ride, and I'm flabbergasted. Say what you will about Michael Bay, but the man makes entertaining films.
But to go back on what you said about it being Michael Bay's favorite, he initially turned this movie down as director. And he wanted to come back after Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson got on board, because they weren't originally on board to produce. They originally wanted Tony Scott when they came on board, which would have actually, I kind of would have loved to seen what that could have been. It wouldn't have been as excessive. Tony Scott turned it down so he could work on The Fan instead.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was apparently offered the role of Stanley Goodspeed.
Well, I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are.
He said the script was a mess when he first got it given to him. Plus, he didn't think he could play sort of the gullible side of Stanley, and he wanted him to become more of a hardened, rough and tough, like, man of action. But that wasn't what the story was, and I think Arnold knew that, so he's like, I'll take a pass on that one.
No chance.
I think the most interesting thing about this movie is the script doctors who are uncredited. 2 in particular, Quentin Tarantino and Aaron Sorkin, who came in to kind of beef it up and make it sound a little bit more intelligent. And I think it was a great idea. If you watch the movie again, there's lots of dialogue, lots of things that happen where you're like, okay, I think I know who wrote that. This is one of those films that always stood the test of time for me, because it's, even though it's nostalgic, because it's got that guitar playing music that you have with your, Michael Bay films.
Please, little big boy.
It just has this sense of energy and heart and good characters that some of his earlier films really had. And this being his second film, just following Bad Boys, which was fine. And that was a nice kind of segue. And this is the one that set the template for Michael Bay movies. Last time you and I did Armageddon, I said that was the template. That was the template of Michael Bay movies that were Transformers movies. But this one was the one where you're like, okay, he can make fun action, full of energy, full of spectacle, full of bright colors.
One of the things I did go out of my way to pick up the Criterion collection of The Rock, and so I was listening to the audio commentary on there, which features Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, Jerry Bruckheimer, and Michael Bay. And I think Jerry Bruckheimer said to Michael Bay after this movie was released, it's like, okay, now you can greenlight anything you want.
Dude, how cool would it have been if Sean Connery was on that commentary?
Oh, it would have been amazing.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
You don't think it's bad?
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it. Yeah.
What would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, they can't leave it alone. They don't want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again, and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
What would...
A lot of contributions by Nicolas Cage in terms of him being big into music, a big Beatlemaniac, adding the super freak, because
lover of vinyl. Yeah, that was all Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
And that was developed by him because there was that one line at the end of the movie where he's like, "Do you like Rocket Man? Because that's you. You're the Rocket Man." It came out of nowhere, and basically,
I don't like soft shit.
Tony Todd, come on. And he said because it came out of nowhere, he felt like he had to build something around that line in his character so that it made sense that he would just say Rocket Man at the end. So there was a lot of stuff in the original script. I think that if Tony Scott had directed it, it would have been very straight ahead and darker. As opposed to the sort of fun popcorn romp that we got.
I think you're right. Tony Scott has made fun movies, but he always wants movies to have a serious edge to them. I think they made the right call on this. I mean, I would like to see what a Tony Scott rock movie would have been, but I do think Michael Bay was at that right time in his career, the commercials, the music videos, and then that sense of fun with Bad Boys, showing what he could do with explosions and car chases and gunfire.
Michael Bay presents Explosions!
And Nicolas Cage really wanted to be in this movie, and Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer said, "I don't think so, dude. Like, you don't have action star in you. You pick these really weird movies to be in. You're a very kind of strange character actor."
What am I, a fucking retard, man? Am I a fucking retard? Oh! I know what this is. You're trying to stop me out because of this lazy little man you being around. Well, vive la fucking France, man!
Obviously, in hindsight, they would be dead wrong, Scotty, because he became a massive 90s action star. Some of our favorite, I mean, we've already done Con Air. Another thing he did was he thought that Stanley Goodspeed would never cuss. So he uses like substantive words like friggin' and a-hole and butthole. And I think it's at the very end that he finally uses like an F-bomb or something. But Connery was the same way. Apparently, he really wanted to be in this movie because he was 65 and he wanted to do an action movie because GoldenEye had just come out the year prior. And he's like, man, I want to show that I still got it. So he helped shape the character of Mason, making him British intelligence instead of just some crook, from what I've heard, and also making him more British and just banter British. I guess the character of Mason was originally just some guy that got out of Alcatraz, but Connery was like, no, we got to make him like British intelligence, almost kind of shaping him into people thinking he might be James Bond if he was older, you know?
Well, and that is one of the long-held headcanons of film fans everywhere, that this is sort of the James Bond if he had been captured in the 60s. And Michael Bay said that there was a moment on set where he was like, this is great. I'm working with, a rusty James Bond. And Sean Connery walks over and says, you know what I'm doing? And it's like, what's that, Sean? And he's like, I get to play James Bond again without having to play James Bond. And it's like, yep, that is absolutely correct. And so I think it holds water. And it also feeds the fire of people thinking that perhaps James Bond is a code name as opposed to an actual identity. But that's a story for another day.
I heard that when Michael Bay went up to Sean Connery at the premiere and said, what'd you think of the movie? Sean Connery said,
"You're the man now, dog."
David Weisberg, Douglas Cook, and Mark Rosner were the ones that were credited for the screenplay. No discredit to them. I hope they're all doing fine. But I do think they were the ones that kind of created the mess that was the script, because when you hear the amount of script doctors that did come in to kind of punch it up, make it more intelligent, make it funnier, and make it flow better, when you hear the names Aaron Sorkin and Quentin Tarantino, you're like, this does make sense. Because if you remember, the year before this, Tarantino came in to work on Tony Scott's Crimson Tide to punch up the script, and it made it. He did the whole thing about the Lippern's Honor Stallions, the horses.
Did you ever see those Lippens Honor Stallions? From Portugal. Most highly trained horses in the world. They're all white.
Yes, sir, I've seen them. Yes, sir, I'm aware that they're all white. They're not from Portugal, they're from Spain. And at birth, they're not white. They're black.
The thing about Silver Surfer.
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was shit.
Now, everybody that reads comic books knows that Kirby Silver Surfer is the only true Silver Surfer. Now, am I right or wrong?
He just made it more relatable with dialogue that wasn't just exposition and just point A to point B. And I think one of the strongest things of this movie, despite the fact that it didn't have a working script when people started filming, is the script. I think it's great. I think the script of this movie is fucking great. I love it. You know, everything from, Mason, I need a shower, shave. The chase through San Francisco / LA or whatever, it was gratuitous, and it was just simply there because they needed an action scene because they thought they were boring the audience, where they just destroy San Francisco for no reason. That's definitely a Michael Bay staple.
It sort of speaks to the way that Michael Bay was shaping his films even from a very early stage of his career, because he was like, okay, we've done all this exposition, we've introduced all these characters, we've done all this, we need something else to do so that we aren't losing the audience. You don't want to bore the audience. And I think that it was the initial screenwriter who was there on set, and he's like, what do you mean we need a chase scene? And Michael Bay was adamant about it because he wanted something for the audience to hold on to, specifically the demographic of people who would go and see break into our Alcatraz.
It was Bruckheimer and Michael Bay's decision for that scene.
Again, this was something that put him on another level and did launch Nicolas Cage as an action movie star. Coming off of the Oscar win of Leaving Las Vegas, he wanted to do something that would change his trajectory, and this certainly did for both Michael Bay and Nick Cage.
It was a win-win because Cage wanted to be in this. He said, I can do it. I'm still a young guy. Yes, I'm like an eccentric actor. Like, I've been in David Lynch movies. I've been in Coen Brothers movies. I play wacky guys.
Fuck Mexico!
Horseshit.
Hi, fucking yeah!
You fucks, I hate you. I hate you both. I should fucking both. Just right now, I should fucking kill you fucking both!
This will ease the audience into Nicolas Cage being an action star, where you get to see him, defusing the doll bomb and his quibs, and then seeing him shirtless playing guitar and talking to his fiance, and just getting to know him first, and then letting him be sort of just a nuclear weapons specialist nerd who becomes an action star. That's the way you do it. If you're trying to make someone an action star who's not one, don't start them off in the movie as a hardened action star. Make them become one. So this movie turned Nicolas Cage into an action star. Not just because the audience says so or the director says so, because you watch him transform into an action star. And then he's forced to use a gun. He's forced to know how to fight.
Throw down.
And then from this point on, you can just make him a full-blown action star in other movies. But this was the movie that started that by easing the audience into watching him become one. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that is a decision made by Nick Cage himself, because he was supposed to be a little bit more gruff and brooding. And he's like, no, he should love being a chemical weapons freak. He likes his job. And he is that nerd. He just happens to work for the FBI. And there are moments like when he is disarming the baby bomb, and when he does finally get the moment where he sees the VX gas pearl strings, and he does sort of take control of it. And it's really interesting because he can be that sort of bumbling nerd, but when life and death is on the line based on these chemical weapons, he absolutely takes control. Like there's a point in the film where he's been submissive to Connery's Mason, and he just automatically owns the room at that point. And it's a transformation from what he had been doing to, he is a capable guy. And so by the time you do get to the end, you can see the two halves of that personality come together to be an assertive FBI special agent. It's fantastic.
Well, and they write in his motivations, his clear, determined motivations is that he has a fiance who is pregnant that, came to San Francisco. So yes, he's not just a guy who just, came to the call. Like, he's got clear motivations for why. I mean, obviously he doesn't want anybody in San Francisco to die, but his clear motivations is the fact that his soon-to-be wife and child are also there. So that fuels him to go to places he didn't know he could go. And like, as fun as this movie is and full of action and comedy and stuff like that, the moments where Nicolas Cage he's so expressive with his face. I mean, we could all say that. Everybody knows that. He's a brilliant actor when he wants to be, and in this movie, he's really taking older stuff that he did, the character stuff he did, and merging it with this new guy to where his arc, 2/3 through the movie, his arc is there when Mason says, like, I gotta get out of here. I'm getting out of here. Fuck this. When they get out of the prison, Mason does the, whatever.
Yeah.
He says, fuck you. I'll do it myself. And you're like, wow, this guy that was like, I can't be here. I don't know anything about this. Like, I can't go with you guys, to literally saying, fine, fuck you. I'll take care of it myself. Even though he gets captured immediately after that, it shows his character growth so quickly because it's all about that plant and seed of his soon-to-be wife and child, along with just not wanting everybody else to die.
And it's also, as you mentioned, in terms of the car chase, but that car chase being the way that they set up John Mason's daughter, and she just shows up because it gives Connery a reason to go on this mission without just being sort of drafted as the expert, but there is a personal stake in it for himself as well. So there are people who are on the line that isn't just like the faceless population of San Francisco.
And they also do good writing with the secondary motivations of the suits of the FBI that are like, look, we have to use Mason. Like, Womack is he's such an interesting character because Womack's like, I'm actually surprised. Like, when the movie finishes, you're like, why did Womack even want to use this guy? Because he clearly doesn't want him, out and about talking to people about things. But I guess Womack at the end of the day is a good guy, doesn't want people to die, but he also wants Mason contained because of, the J. Edgar Hoover files and all that kind of stuff. The fact that he does let him out, it kind of gives you a different look at Womack because Womack is a piece of shit. He's supposed to be the secondary kind of villain of the movie, like the villain on the good side, I guess. And having that be such a big part of the background, every time you see Womack's face on camera, where's Mason? Where's Mason? Did Mason live? What's going on with Mason? It's brilliant. Like, and that's probably a lot of your Aaron Sorkin influence in there too, I'm guessing. William Forsythe is one of the unsung heroes of this movie. He's so good. Yeah.
Like, and he's like the counter to Womack, where it's like he is a hard ass FBI agent, but as the movie progresses, he's not constantly talking down to Goodspeed. He is sort of supportive, but he is kind of flabbergasted by the, I guess, naivety of the actual FBI operations.
He has the best line in the movie, though, where Goodspeed's like, sure, we could accommodate the hotel
Why don't you throw in a trip to Tahiti while you're at it?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. You get hostages.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, I was thinking the same thing when they're flying through in the carts. That's so Indiana Jones. Like, yeah, it's an adventure.
The greatest adventure is there if you're bold.
Like, it's a full ride. Like, every action scene doesn't want to be like the one before it. You know, it's not just here's a shootout, now here's a shootout, now here's a shootout. Like, every action scene in this movie, like when they end up like going down that shaft on those carts, and you're like, okay, now we're on a roller coaster adventure movie, and it's not, you know, it's not just shootout after shootout. Like, I mean, those things are in there, but it's so much more creative than that. Like, it's going through it's going through Alcatraz, through all the different, it shows you so much of the island and so much of what, you know, I think is the structure. I mean, it may be fake, I'm not sure, but that the president in this movie makes it a shared universe with at least Armageddon. Because it's the same actor, and I think his name is the same as President. So this movie does take place in the Armageddon verse. Or is it the Rock verse? I don't know.
I think that we'll go by stakes. So it is the Armageddon verse, although chronologically, The Rock took place first.
These past few hours have been the longest, darkest of my life. The Bible calls this day Armageddon, the end of all things. And in the middle, Frank Hummel. Dreams of an entire planet are focused tonight on those 14 brave souls.
So the movie starts out very much like a lot of Bruckheimer, Don Simpson movies of the past did, with a military something going on. In this case, we have this sort of big military memorial. This is where you have General Hummel, right? General Hummel,
Yes.
played by Ed Harris, who is fucking excellent in this movie. We haven't really mentioned him that much yet.
He was the number one choice to play Hummel, and it took some cajoling to get him into it. He was like, yeah, I get it. He's trying to kill a lot of people, but he's not wrong. And so he is a very sympathetic antagonist. I think he has the gravitas for it, and I think he's fantastic. But yeah, I think the entire reason for that is just so that we can sort of establish his buttoned up, straight-laced general character, and then also establish that part of the reason that he's doing this is because he is a widow, and his wife has died, and so we do, and it's never stated, like, it's just all visual storytelling.
Yeah, and this is where you start to see the ugly side of their plan, because, you know, they're there for VX poison gas. These are their brothers in arms, but it's the first hint that a lot of these people have now signed up for this op, and they're like, we are no longer military personnel. We're, I think even Tony Todd says later in the movie, we're mercenaries now. And you have Hummel, and you have David Morse, who I love so much. I love David Morse.
I like my opening titles to be doing something like I need all the names. We'll do all the names, but I do want something going on so I can just get hooked as soon as the credits start to roll. And this does that. It's like, okay, let's establish a character, and then let's get into the first action scene. Then
we jump into, you know, this FBI facility, you know, Todd Luiso from High Fidelity, who would be in High Fidelity 4 years later as one of my favorite movie characters of all time, because he's such a pure vinylist in that film, is in this movie. And you can't tell it's the same guy because he's got hair in this, but he is the funniest part of this movie. Like, get me the fuck out of here.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you fucking nuts?
Correct. Clash. But also by this band called the Stiff Little Fingers.
Alexander Berkeley.
Yes, it is.
Todd
Yes,
from
is.
Terminator 2.
I'm looking at the scene right now. There's a lot of actors right here. One of the guys in the lab coats is Weird Al's best friend in UHF. I just can't remember his name. Vanessa Marceau from fucking, you know, Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place is, you know, Carla, the wife, or the whatever, the fiance or whatever. Yeah, there's so fucking people in this movie, man.
Character introduction for Stanley Goodspeed, who was apparently originally he was supposed to be named Ben.
Hans Zimmer really, back in his earlier days before he became the guy, you know, trust me, he still makes brilliant scores today, but back when he was more fun and did so many of the Bruckheimer Simpson movies, like he knew when it was time to play and mess with the guitar and make something kind of fun and bouncy. And that's what this scene is all about. This scene is setting the stakes for the movie. It hard cuts to Alcatraz.
All of the park rangers here at Alcatraz were at one time guards, myself included. My name is John Johnson, but everyone here calls me Vicky.
Where a group of, it's supposed to be 81 people are just taking a tour through Alcatraz, something like that.
This is the cell for solitary confinement that over the years had come to be known as Times Square.
A lot of people call this one Die Hard at Alcatraz because, you know, that was the big thing. This one doesn't spend hardly any time with the hostages. Almost zero. Aside from the opening where one guy's like,
What kind of fucked up toy is this?
man, you take my motherfucking, I get my motherfucking.
If I'd have known this was going to happen, I'd have brought my motherfucking son.
Like, you don't see them even during the scene where like Mason and Stanley are captured. You don't see any of them for the rest of the movie. And I appreciate that because you don't need to.
There is the one hostage who Hummel threatens to kill when he wants the launch chips. It's basically San Francisco is the hostage, and they really exemplify that when they show the one rocket headed towards a football game.
If anything, I would say this movie does a great job of feeling like the first Die Hard, because the first Die Hard movie really used every floor as a different adventure for McClane, a different obstacle, finding the rockets, you know, and then them learning more about each other through every action scene.
And I think that's one of the best Nicolas Cage sex scenes I've ever seen, where it's like, do you like the pigtails? Naughty, naughty.
Oh yeah, the pigtails, very naughty.
Yeah, they want him for the chemical weapons thing, but they also know he's kind of an everyman. So when William Forsythe goes in to talk to Mason, he just can't get through to him, you know, because he's too straight-laced, you know, FBI. But when they send in Goodspeed and he's just so goofy, he's like, well, yeah, I'm an FBI. I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are.
That interaction, him being sort of intimidated by it, but also wanting to present himself as Special Agent Stanley Goodspeed.
He's sliding his chair further away from him, which is so great.
And apparently that was Nicolas Cage was sort of trying to channel Elvis, because he had heard this thing about Elvis, how Elvis was into two-way mirrors. Nicolas Cage is telling this story to Sean Connery, who's busting a gut laughing at it because he had never heard that before. I had never heard that before. I don't know. Maybe I've just always considered Sean Connery to be legendary, but when I see Sean Connery and John Spencer and William Forsythe, and I'm just like, you guys are with Sean fucking Connery, guys. Did you ever think this was going to happen in your career? And I'm fairly certain that part of the reason why people signed up for this around the board is just like, oh, Sean Connery's in this. All right, let's go. Let's do this.
So then you have that wonderful scene where they're at the Pentagon, and, you know, a couple of the guys aren't taking Hummel too seriously. And he's like, I'll tell you right now, like, you guys, all these people died under your watch and they never even got a goddamn military funeral. And that's where they start to see that he's not fucking around. You know, like, he's not really in it for the money. Like, obviously the people that he has hired as mercenaries are, aside from David Morse's character, everyone else is kind of just in it because either they think they have to be a subordinate to this general that they respect from Vietnam, or they want money, which is funny because at the end, obviously we're jumping ahead, but at the end, they kind of do call him out and he doesn't want to kill people. But at that moment, though, you're like, man, Ed Harris is playing such a good fucking villain. And I got to say, he is one of the best villains of action movies ever, because at the end of the day, he's just doing things for the right causes, and then he dies kind of a hero, not a hero, but he dies destroying what he was trying to do that was evil, you know, like you know what I mean?
He's very on point for his mission, but that's also jumping ahead a little bit is when we do sort of get the villainous monologue between our heroes, and in this case it's Sean Connery and Ed Harris as opposed to Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris, but explaining what's going on and then being countered by it. But there are people throughout the movie who are like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but this is not the way to do it.
You know, you have your Taco from Breaking Bad, who was younger back then, and then John C. McGinley, who was still kind of young. Those guys are just like bloodthirsty. They just want to get paid.
Because I take pleasure in gutting you, boy.
It's another complex layer to Hummel's character. It's like, why did he recruit these guys? Because he thought that they would respect his authority as a general, but they don't. And Tony Todd is the guy who's the most sort of like senior of all those ones.
I like the dispatching of all of the Marines, in that the ones who go first are the ones who are the most loyal to Hummel, and as you go down the line, the people who are left over are the ones who want their fucking money.
I want my fucking money!
I love that guy at the end. He's like, I'm gonna do you. He's like fucking straight up Frank Booth, dude.
Fuck! You fucking fucker!
You know, we get John Mason back, and he's like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. I just need a shower and a shave. Kind of zeroes in on Goodspeed as like, oh, this guy is not who he says he is. He's not a combat guy. I can tell he's full of shit. He does end up, you know, being the one who chases them through the city of Frisco. I don't want to talk too much about that scene because it's just a big loud explosion after explosion, and I don't think it serves the story in any way except for making Mason look more like a shithead because he put a lot of lives in danger.
You're the man now, dog.
I agree with the idea that they needed something just sort of to attract your attention, to get away from the exposition and the plot. Yeah. And having stuff blow up is a good way to do that. And I do think that it is a good way to set up.
One of my biggest crushes in the 90s, Claire Forlani, who plays Mason's daughter, who went on to be in like Meet Joe Black and a bunch of shit. Beautiful eyes. There's something about Claire Forlani that's just very amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She was in, I've loved her ever since I saw her in Mallrats. And
yeah. Dude, I forgot. Yeah, she was in Mallrats too. Yeah, that's right.
It's really like, aside from Connery having to be a hard ass and badass throughout the entire movie, it is nice to be able to see that sort of softer side where he is a human.
They have a moment, and that is the moment that makes you now care about Mason.
Yeah. And also it builds the relationship somewhat between Goodspeed and Mason as well, because when all the cops show up, and then he's like, well, all righty, John, I think we should get going. And at the end of the movie, that's where it sort of all pays off with everything that had happened throughout the adventure. It's like, thank you, Stanley. It's been a very long time since I've said thank you to anyone.
Our team of elite soldiers. So Michael Biehn cast to subvert expectations and fool the audience. He was the actor who played SEALs and Special Forces guys many, many times and was always the one who survived, with the exception of Terminator. So the shower death scene was very unexpected.
Oh, absolutely. I think the military advisor for the film is on the audio commentary, and he's like, this is Michael Biehn, and he has played a Navy SEAL more than any other actor in Hollywood.
He has, dude.
Because he was in
a movie called Navy SEAL.
Ooh, Navy SEALs.
They wanted someone in it, and all right, so it's going to be Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, and we're going to have this SEAL team. And of course, Michael Bihn's going to survive. It's going to be an adventure following these guys now. You do get to spend some time with them. You understand that Michael Biehn is the baddest badass on the badass block. You figure that he's going to be able to get out of it. And even in that shower scene, when they dialogue, it's not just he gets picked off. But when he's talking to Hummel and he's like, I know why you're here, and God knows I agree with you, but
it's great. That doesn't give you the right to mutiny. And he just fucking gives it his all. Like, very underrated actor, man, in my opinion. Like,
that's the thing, is that he's been in some of the most iconic movies of the 80s and the 90s. Like, you start off with the Terminator, Aliens, then you have The Abyss, which he was in with Ed Harris, and then you get Tombstone. So, like, you do get some amazing Michael Biehn legendary movies. And so when he does show up, you're like, oh, okay, if you're not the bad guy, you're the good guy, and you're probably going to survive this. And then you get Fabrizio from Titanic.
I go to America.
He was also in Crimson Tide.
Oh, right, he was. He was the Silver Surfer Kid.
He was the Silver Surfer Kid, yeah. The problem with that scene is how dumb they were for bringing up that little camera and knocking it into that ball sensor. Like, what the fuck? They've already hit the fucking ball, dude.
Now, why in the hell are the boilers on Alcatraz still running? There's no reason for this. And the answer is, before anybody gets all up in my ass, it's a movie.
FBI, free sucker.
FBI, free sucker.
They go to the morgue to do the rockets because he's trying to explain it and everything. And this is, I think it's fantastic in that it is the moment where Nicolas Cage really does assert himself over Mason, as opposed to being sort of a tag along. And he doesn't have to do it with violence or with a gun or anything like that. What Nicky C says is that his inspiration for that first disarming of the VX rocket was Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, when they're doing the autopsy of the girl who gets killed by the shark at the very beginning, and it's like, and you will not smoke in here.
Portions of the rib cage are intact. Do not smoke in here. Thank you very much.
Seizes your nervous system. Do not move that.
They were nominated for Best Actor. Dreyfuss for Mr. Holland's Opus, and Nicolas Cage for Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, same year, 96. Yeah,
and so he said that he told Richard Dreyfuss that, and he's like, oh, I used your inspiration. I used your performance from Jaws in The Rock, and I guess Richard Dreyfuss hadn't seen it, and he's like,
I never thought that if I had thought of my mother, I would be thinking incestuous thoughts.
If you do not respect this, it will kill you. And you can even see the admiration.
The second you stop respecting this, yeah,
and you can see the sort of the pensive, oh shit, this is real.
Mason, I'm gonna do my best to save my wife and baby. So cut me some freaking slack. You got them funny shaped balloons. Not unless you think round is funny.
Nicolas Cage says,
I'll do my best, Mason. I'll do my best.
Sean Connery says, your best. Losers always whine about their best. This is the worst Sean Connery. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
That's not bad.
I sound like a pirate.
You always have to speak like you have dentures. Like you're always sucking them in. So he's like, your best. Winners always complain about their best. Losers go home and fuck the prom queen.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Stanley Goodspeed says, Carla was the prom queen.
Carla was the prom queen.
Now they're on these like cars that are driving through like the mines or whatever. I don't even know what those are supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, the mines of fucking Alcatraz. But those scenes are so great. Like, apparently these mine cars, deflect any bullets because everyone's just ducking under these cars and they're like shooting at the things and it doesn't hit it. And then the cars just kind of flip over and you're like, oh my God, there's like a waterfall. What the fuck is going on? How are you honoring the death of, your soldiers by killing another million. You can see that Hummel kind of respects him a little bit. That scene's pretty great. It kind of cuts pretty fast to like Goodspeed like trying to do his best, and then he gets ambushed pretty quick, and then they're both just like in cells, and you're like, okay, so are they in the same like jail cells as all the hostages? Because if so, why don't we hear or see from any of them?
Is that when we get the I'm going to enjoy gutting you, boy?
I'll take pleasure in gutting you, boy.
Shame on them.
Shame on them.
Wow, was it that easy back then to get out of your cell?
Apparently by like 1962, the budget cuts at Alcatraz were so horrendous that it was like that's when the most successful escape, as portrayed by Clint Eastwood in Escape from Alcatraz. So the time is up and they're all ready to launch rockets. In fact, they're champing at the bit to launch some rockets. And this is just such classic Michael Bay, is that they launch one of the missiles and it's like, oh my God, they're attacking the football game. And it's like, okay. And so you see the rocket crest a mountain or a hill, a fucking escarpment or something. And it's just like, and it's a giant, I guess it's Sunday. And so the football game is going and it veers off into the ocean. And then it's just like everybody's like, we bluffed, they called. And it's like, who's bluffing? I want my fucking money. We've got low rent Michael Shannon. We've got Bokeem Woodbine. You got Dave Morse. You got Tony Todd, and everybody's just about to go.
The real crazy bad guys end up shooting Ed Harris, Hummel.
Yeah.
And then he's basically like, hey, what have I done?
What have I done?
Yeah, just show the lines and I'll slap you.
What would...
You finally have like all the four kind of main leads, like name-wise, in a scene together, and they don't really get to have a moment. You get that sad, Hans Zimmer music as like Hummel's head starts to go down, the blood, it works perfect. And then you get the rest of the crazy bastards that are still out there.
What is your plan now? I guess you can launch the rockets, but there's no money. Like if you kill the city, it's not like that. Thanks for that. Now have money. There's nothing happening that is going to make it so that it works for these guys anymore.
I think the reason this movie works so well, they made sure that didn't happen, that it wasn't Hummel punching somebody. Like Hummel was like the guy that was, but at the end of the day, he didn't really want to do it, and they called him on it, and that's an interesting take for a movie. That like they call this guy out and he's like, fuck. And they're like, no, we got to do it. And he's like, no, we're not doing it. It's very interesting, because you do meet him as somebody that doesn't want to do this kind of stuff. And I love it that the script didn't push it to where he did become that guy,
Yeah, he could have very easily turned into like John Travolta from Broken Arrow. It is sort of that transition between Hummel being the villain to being the antagonist to being the tragic figure, even though he is bad guy, but he is not the bad guy.
It's such a Michael Bay scene where it's like it takes like 45 seconds for him to go, hey, because, Tony Todd is holding up a knife. He's like, I'm going to gut you, you fucking piece of shit. So you're the Rocket Man, huh?
It's like the entire movie was reverse engineered to figure out how to get someone to say, you're him, you're the Rocket Man.
It's you. You're the Rocket Man.
I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
And then the final one with Captain Fry, he punches the goo ball into his mouth.
Eat that, you fuck!
Oh God! The only thing that kind of infuriates me about the ending of this movie is that you have this soldier, this British soldier who's kind of a badass, and he's the one kind of carrying like all the action stuff. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the movie, he's not really there. And Nicolas Cage's character Stanley has to be the one that like kills the bad guy and stops the this and this and this. And you only really get Mason like helping him with like throwing a guy off a rooftop. You know what I'm talking about? That scene.
Yeah.
It's like, why did they do that? I would have thought it would be way more entertaining if Goodspeed was the one trying to like hold together the bomb thing, and Mason was the one kind of fucking up the bad guys. But they just kept giving all the bad guys to Goodspeed. And it's like, wait, I like it that he's now turned into a hero, but come on. Like, he's killing all these guys?
You take away Stanley's backup, and then you throw the rest of the bad guys at him. And so there is that hero moment for Sean Connery when he comes back and actually helps. And so it's like
plastic.
But he picks up a gun and then he hits the guy as he's shooting.
He just shoves him off. Yeah.
But the thing is that if he's sitting there shooting, I wouldn't even bother with hitting the guy with the gun. I would just grab his ankles and flip him forward.
We have to talk about Stanley Anderson, the president of this movie.
The president of this movie, not of the United States, but of this movie.
No, but also as the president of the United States of his second term, which would be in Armageddon.
Yeah. Gotcha, bitch. They see the smoke from the flares, and one guy is he was a little trigger happy, and so he dropped.
Yeah, he dropped it too early. Yeah.
Stanley's thrown into the water, and then there's I'm getting so tired of saving your ass. and it's like, so you and Carla, you should go on a vacation. Have you heard? You should go to Kansas. And there were a bunch of times in this, and I thought Nicolas Cage was going to be like, I'm gonna save the motherfucking day. And it
I'm
would have
gonna
been great.
save the motherfucking day.
I'm gonna save the fucking day.
But yeah, and then Connery says you should go to this church and go get the pew, and then you're gonna get the microfiche, and then he just sort of disappears like Ethan Hunt at the end of the last Mission Impossible. Yeah, that last scene where Carla and Stanley are going to the church to get the microfiche. That was another thing that Nicolas Cage was like, I didn't really like that. I didn't like the vandalism.
Don Simpson's last film as producer before he passed away from a massive drug overdose in 1996 was The Rock. And I love the ending where it said this movie's dedicated to Don Simpson, because Don Simpson, if you know, for the youngsters that don't know, like, he was a massive collaborator with Jerry Bruckheimer. He died in 1996. He was a junkie. It sucks, but a really good collaborator. He had a lot of good stuff to say. He was a huge part of Top Gun. He was a huge part of a lot of True Romance. Like, he was a great collaborator. He produced some good shit, dude.
And then he died during this movie. And so there is an end of the legacy. And it's unfortunate, but as many people on the commentary said, primarily Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer, is that the guy was a showman, a master salesman in Hollywood, helped create some of the most iconic films with his partnership with Jerry Bruckheimer. But the man had demons. And was a terribly, terribly lonely man, and he filled it up with chemicals.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I think it ended perfectly and fun, and just the music, the Hans Zimmer score that hit up, and he runs out and he's got the thing up and he's like, "Hey, baby, you want to know who killed fucking JFK?" I think that movie's perfectly one and done. I would never want to see a sequel to that.
Well, and it's one of those things where leave it well enough alone, and thank heavens they did. And also there's enough mystery into that little tape, that little microfiche, and it's just like, I like the idea of the fact that Stanley Goodspeed has the truth, and then they ride off into the sunset, and that's where we leave them, and it's just something that he has on his shelf, and he's not really plagued by it, but it offers up satisfying questions instead of giving me bullshit answers. Well, thank you so much for having me for the 30 Rock. I hope you enjoy this movie. Sorry about the spoilers, but we drink your cinema.
I drink it up!